Aloha! Nui here again from Team Nakanishi and Hawaii Life Real Estate Brokers, here to give you, this is video number 2 of our weekly recap, and I promised I would tell you about bugs. This week we had Will Lee on the call. He owns Will Kill Pest Inspections. I guess he controls pests. And he gave us the rundown on how to treat certain pests that we see here on Hawaii Island. And I am specifying Hawaii Island because we do have different pests here than you will see on all of the other Hawaiian islands. So let's get started. Let's start off by talking about the awesome termite. So here in Hawaii we have two different types of termites, either the subterranean type or the drywood type. The subterranean ones are the ones that you see that are under the ground. They come up from the ground, and the way that you can recognize that you might have them is that they make these little muddy tunnel type things around the exterior of your home. I guess it's some type of excretion that makes these weird mud tunnels. And he said that he's been finding these mud tunnels where there are like jacuzzi type tubs and stuff like that, I guess because of the moisture. So the other type of termite, and this is the more common type that I see, is drywood termites. So you can identify those because there usually be sandy like droppings on the ground. They almost look like ants or something, but you'll see them on the ground and often in corners and little piles and stuff. So that's how you can see those. And they're usually found in like kitchen cabinets, in trim for doors, things that haven't been treated. And so one thing that you want to be aware of, a lot of my clients are like, oh, we don't need a termite inspection because this is a brand new house. And I would say that you always want to get a termite inspection because even in the brand new houses, the plywood that they make cabinets out of, sometimes the plywood comes in with termites, and cabinets that are shipped from China especially, they go sit in a warehouse and then they get termites and then they're put into this brand new house, and yep, your brand new house has termites. So I would highly suggest always getting a termite inspection. It's not that expensive, a couple $100 for a normal size house, and normally that cost can be negotiated between the buyer and seller, so you might not even end up paying it. You might, if you are a buyer, you can always just request the seller pay for that. All right, went off on a little tangent there. Let me pick back up where I was. Oh, and then in the summertime we have these termites that swarm around in the light, and they're so annoying, and they drop their wings, so you have wings all over the place, and they get in your food, and I really can't stand it because I want to sit outside in the summertime, but we have them, so we have to deal with it, the pains of living in paradise. But he said that the best way to get them to go away is just to turn off the light for that little time period which they swarm, which is, I know it's inconvenient, but gotta do what you gotta do. And he said that you normally see you can normally predict the nights that you're gonna see those swarming termites because it'll be a hot, really still, humid, sticky night. It's a night when we have very little trade winds. That's when you can expect to see those swarming termites. He said in order to keep out the, he said that, the swarming termites, he said, are usually subterranean termites, but that doesn't mean that you necessarily have termites at your house. It just means that because your light's on, they're like attracted to it, and woohoo, party time. So they come and they party at your light for an hour or two, and then they go away to wherever it is that they're living. It doesn't necessarily mean that your house has them. He also said that areas like volcanoes the volcano area doesn't really have swarming termites either because of the elevation. So there are two ways that you can treat subterranean termites, and either you can do a liquid treatment, or they put these things in the ground and it's called a centricon system, and the bugs kind of go in there and eat whatever's in that centricon system, and I think that they die like that. As far as the wood termites, those of course can be treated by tenting or spot treatment. Will did say that the tenting is usually a foolproof way of killing everything that's in the house, but for a lot of people with larger houses, the tenting can get up into like $10,000 range. So in those cases, a lot of times he will do the spot treatments because it's easier and it's more affordable that way. And for the fancier neighborhoods, you don't really want this circus tent on their house in the middle of like a $25 million house neighborhood. So in those instances, he says that they usually do spot treatments. So that's something I didn't know. All right, and so that's about all he had to say about termites. I'm sure there's a lot more he could have said. So if you have questions about termites, you can call Will. And then we talked about fun stuff like rats. So he said that we also have different types of rats. So we have the regular little rats. I don't recall what the name of those were. But then we also have the big rats that are called Norway rats, and they're kind of like a sewer rat. And those can get into your ceilings, and that happens when trees near your house are touching the roof line. So you really want to make sure that your trees are always cut away from the roof line, because rats use that as kind of like a highway into your attic. So that's a lot of fun. You don't want any rat highways into your house. The other rat highway is if there's a utility wire from the road out into your house. The rats will climb up the poles and do this tightrope walking into your attic, and I have seen that before, and they'll just nest in your attic like that. He said in that case, there are ways to keep them out. You can put a blocker around the wire, so when the rat runs up to it, it can't go any further, and they'll just turn around and go back to the pole that they came from. As far as the other thing that gets into your attic a lot are little finches. They get through those circular air vents, so you just need to keep those closed. And then we have fun things called fire ants, and those are these itty bitty ants, and they usually hang out in bushes. And so when you're walking around and you think you're having a fun hike in the bushes, they just kind of rain down on you from the trees and stuff. And for women, it's really sucky because somehow they always find their way down your shirt and get stuck in there. So that's a lot of fun. So there are ways to treat that, and he does do the treatment. He can go around your yard and treat for those, and you won't really see them. If your neighbor, however, does not treat for them, you will need to treat more often, because you'll start getting them from your neighbor's yard. He said some people only treat like once a year, but most people will treat every 2 to 3 months. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not forgetting anything about the fire ants. Oh, he was saying that they're starting to even find the fire ants in Waipio Valley in the kalo patches. So that's kind of crazy, since most of those patches are in water. I didn't realize that they could get in the kalo patches. And he says that sometimes people kind of freak out because if you've left your garage empty, if it's a vacant house that's been empty for a few months, people will start seeing piles of I guess they're dead ants in corners and stuff, and they'll think it's termites, but oftentimes it's just dead fire ants. So, and then we did have a discussion about coqui frogs. If you guys don't know what coqui frogs are, they came from Puerto Rico, and they do a sing song, and they basically sing their name. They go coqui, coqui, and there's thousands of them. So at nighttime they come out around 7 o'clock ish. Well, 7 o'clock now ish, but earlier in the winter months, and they all chirp at the same time, and I personally like them. I don't mind the chirping sound, but some people think that it's disturbing and it drives them nuts. So if you want less coquis, then you need to be in a drier area. Kona doesn't really have any coquis. You know, any place that's drier, they like the water. So if you're by a river, you're gonna have a lot of coquis. So just something else to be aware of. And they're about this big. They're very tiny, and they multiply very quickly, which is why they've spread so fast. And Will says there's not really any safe treatment right now for the coquis, and there's not a lot of research going on for the coquis because this is the only island with coqui frogs. Now you can decide if you like the coquis or not. It is very much a matter of opinion. And I think we don't have snakes though. We don't have bears. We don't have big cats. We don't have any of that other really scary stuff. We just have teeny weeny frogs and teeny weeny ants. So we're still doing good over here in the grand scheme of pests. So if you want more information about pests, how to treat them, then you can give Will Kill a call or check out their website. All right, or you can call me and I'll do my best to give you the information. Okay, on to the next video. My next video will be about our staging services, and I will let you know how we do that. It's free with our team. See you soon.